7th, 2021. This is 508, a show about Worcester. And I'm Michael Benedetti.
Why did it just get so windy as soon as
Brendan.
we start talking?
We defeated COVID. Good
We
job.
did. Congratulations. You did
Yeah.
really good work, brother.
Yeah. Before we talk about that, I want to do Worcester in 60 seconds. Can I do it without all this wind?
Probably not.
Statewide, we are in COVID reopening phase 4, stage 1. Stage 2 is the final phase. Worcester County has a COVID rate of 22 confirmed cases per 100,000 people, which is unchanged on the week. It's about twice as high as it was a year ago,
Yep.
but it's down 75% from the peak, which was the beginning of January.
Right.
In Massachusetts, 36% of the people have received at least one dose of vaccine. It's up from 19% a month ago.
Yeah.
And of people who are eligible to get vaccinated, about 45% have been vaccinated, 50%. So that's not too bad. Becker College will indeed close. We were talking about that last time, if that was going to happen. This is the end of this is their last school year. Worcester Elementary students, unfortunately the Worcester Public Schools will not close. Worcester Elementary students will go back to the class 5 days a week if they like, starting the beginning of May, and middle school students not long after that. And finally, the Worcester Paw Sox have been scrimmaging at Polar Park. They're going to play their first game beginning of May the 4th in Buffalo, and their first game in Worcester will be on May the 11th. Oh, and actually, I'll mention also Worcester's Rodney Harrigan won $10 million in the lottery last month.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations to him. Not somebody I know, but a friend of a friend, so good
really?
job, man. Good job on the money. Yeah. How are you doing,
Is he
Brendan?
looking for investment opportunities?
I don't know. You know, I figure that whenever you win a lottery ticket, you should only have to worry about your friends hitting you up for money, not friends of friends.
I've had the same cell phone number since the mid-90s, and I've always just felt if I won the lottery, the first thing that's happening is that phone's getting tossed into the nearest pond, and that's starting from scratch, yeah.
Yeah, I always, I wonder about that with the $10 million. I know that something that sometimes people do is that they form, whenever they win the lottery, right, you form a trust, and then you give the lottery ticket to the trust,
Right.
and then the trust wins the lottery, and so therefore, I guess there's no photo of you with the ticket, with the giant check or whatever.
And I think it's possible, but that's really hard to do in Massachusetts. Like state to state, some states mandate that like if you won the lottery, it has to be public. It's treated like public record sort of thing.
Yeah.
Massachusetts, for some reason, I feel like it can be done, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seems like it would be worth the hassle, man. If I was going to get $10 million all of a sudden.
Yeah. I mean, I would also like to think, too, that, like, I would probably be very hard to find immediately thereafter. And, like, I know how to get in touch with you. Like, we'd make sure that if there are any wants and needs that I could help you out with. But you're probably not going to know where in the galaxy I am when that takes place.
Yeah. Speaking of winning the lottery, Brendan, we defeated COVID-19.
Everything's better
basically.
now.
Well, you know what? I mean, this last week, walking around the streets and just being in the small number of circles that I'm in these days, I was just seeing substantially less. Let me take this off. Action shot. Yeah. Substantially less mask wearing than I had the last 2 months.
Yeah, I'm not liking it.
You're not liking it?
I'm still not liking it. And I say this, I'm vaccinated now, right? Like, I had some comorbidities that got me in, so it's like, I still don't like it, man. I feel like the best. I listen to a lot of. I'm one of those, the doom COVID people, right? Like, so I listen to too much Michael Ostrom, and he keeps referencing that like we're in the 4th inning. It's and I don't know. I think we're going to hurt ourselves, but what do I know?
Yeah, I feel like we're in the 4th inning of a special kind of baseball that involves 4 innings. That's my opinion.
But you're being very positive. That's I still feel like there's so much that could go wrong. Like,
I mean, nobody should take my predictions as to how this is going to play out either. I don't know that
maybe they should. I don't know. You should not take my advice on anything. I've been saying that for the last how long have we been doing this show? At least 10 years now. But it's
yeah.
But still, I don't know. It's just I feel like people are getting too comfortable.
I was wondering if you feel like we have any lessons learned from the COVID crisis thus far.
Government is garbage.
Yeah,
Humans are mostly garbage, but not complete garbage.
Yeah.
Some of them are awesome. Some humans are really, really awesome, but it's hard to figure out which ones are which in advance. So all those ideas you have about putting together your zombie team and whatnot, and like knowing who's who, that's going to be a nightmare when it actually comes down to it. And that like we're terrible at math. Like for all the things that humans are good at, math is just. Like you pointed out when you were starting, twice as many cases now than we had last spring when we were panicking.
Well, that's confirmed cases. So I'll just say, I mean, this is part of the subtlety of this all is, of course, how many Right, like how do you go from confirmed cases to actual cases?
Sure.
Does that calculation look completely different this spring than last spring when we were really testing nobody?
If we didn't even know how to test people.
Yeah,
Right,
so it could be that we had, I don't think we had 10 times more last spring, but we could have the same amount last spring.
Absolutely. But it's just, I don't think we're really good at getting. I mean, have you actually tried to have a conversation with people about how many Americans have died in the last year from COVID?
I've had conversations about similar kinds of statistical subjects.
And I think I think that really highlights, and I'm at fault of this too, like the number gets to a point where it's like your brain just can't, whether it's emotionally or logically, just can't wrap around it anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's unfortunately where we're at now. I totally get everyone wants to get back to whatever normal is supposed to be and whatnot, but I don't know, they're right and wrong ways to do things. I don't think we've done much of anything right for the last year.
I'll tell you two lessons that I've learned besides the fact that all of our officials, government officials and official organizations have really done a poor job of managing this crisis on the federal level too. Maybe I'll throw in as a parenthetical before I continue my thought that I think the last episode I was complaining a lot about the vaccine rollout locally. And I'll just say I don't really blame local people for this because even a lot of it is being said on the federal level, not even the state level, just the federal level. If you wanted to do something with first doses first policy or whatever, you can't just do that on a Worcester basis. You have to do that comes from the top. So you do what you can do. But one of the things that's been surprising to me has been the studies that have sort of shown that, for example, the United States or Massachusetts, whenever COVID came in, the R number, the reproduction number was 5 or something, meaning everybody infected 5 other people. But then very quickly it converged to around 1, maybe a tad over 1, which means the average person who gets COVID infects a person, and there's enough of a little bit more that there is some growth, but it's not huge. It would be steady growth, but not huge growth. That kind of phenomenon has happened all over the world, and that frequently these changes precede government mandates of restrictions rather than following it. So that it may be in a lot of cases that, the governor of Massachusetts says, we want to close down the restaurants, and the reason is because people are like, we want to close down the restaurants, and we don't want to go to the restaurants. And so the governor's like, all right, I'll do whatever people are into. But people will start going to restaurants 2 weeks before the governor kind of picks up on that vibe and makes it happen. So that whole dynamic, I think, is really interesting. I don't think it's something that we've taken into account in our policy making, in part because I don't know that we understand that dynamic well enough to take it into account in our policy making. But it's been a really interesting part of this to me. In some ways, that's been a really reassuring thing to me, in that I sort of feel like even without the government, even if the government was underreacting to these things, maybe people in general would counteract that a little bit. The fact that it so often goes to 1, meaning steady amounts of COVID, in some ways it seems to me like if people are hearing about more people around them getting COVID, they start getting more cautious, and when they're hearing about less people around them getting COVID than last week, they get less cautious, and that's why when it's about the same, you stay about the same. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, no, and I mean, on a personal level, I mean, that's kind of why, we kind of wrapped things up at the ice cream shop last spring before the state said we had to.
Yeah.
It was just it was obvious that we needed to shut things down because there's nobody there.
Yeah.
And then on the back end of things now, I still haven't reopened. I'm going to soon, but a lot of that has less to do with where Charlie Baker says we are in a reopening plan and more to do with me talking to my customers, most of them not being entirely comfortable coming out yet.
Yeah.
Having a business that doesn't have its customers isn't necessarily a great business, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense to stay closed even though the government is telling me I have permission to reopen in some capacity. And I mean, I guess a lot of that too is, you and I talked about this a lot last spring, I think, that we have a really great system of government when what we need in life are bureaucrats, right? But when we need expertise, and what we need is folks that can make really stressful, challenging decisions, and even if they're going to be completely wrong, no matter what their consultants and what are telling them, they're going to do what they think is right, not what's going to be popular. And I feel like that's where we've seen a lot of gaping holes in the way our system functions right now. I'm really not interested in what consultants to the governor think about reopening. I'm really interested in what all the epidemiologists that work for Mass Department of Public Health and have for decades think about reopening. And And I don't know that we're hearing from them, right? Like, I know that we're hearing from consultants because you can read it in the pressers. The language is polished and
Yeah.
whatnot. But yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean,
Whatever. You said it's conquered, so we're done.
Sure,
We don't
yeah,
need to talk about
exactly.
it
We don't.
anymore.
That's right. That's right. We're in a post-COVID world. What do you, I've been thinking about the Paw Sox, man, because
Just because
like,
we're standing here, or in general?
partially because we're standing here, and partially because, like, when I think about the stories in Worcester, and there's lots of stories that are always going on about who's running for public office, and racism in the police, and racism in the city, and this and that and the other thing, and property taxes and whatever. This is still like this one thing which, like, 10 years from now is going to be relevant, because it's like
Still
the
gonna be
city.
there.
The city has mortgaged the entire city in order to build the most expensive minor league ballpark in world
universe.
history.
Yeah.
Literally. There it is.
There it is.
It really looks. I think we got our money's worth, man. Look at that sign.
I'm. It's backwards.
Yeah.
I am. I'm just upset we didn't get our brick. You know, like I was really digging the original drawings that were all
Oh.
like brick facade and whatnot.
Yeah,
This
it's
to
kind
me
of less
looks
cool
kind
looking.
of like a building where I don't know. You would expect, I don't know, like petroleum jelly to be made or
Yeah.
something. Like it's not a. From up here, anyways. Maybe down there it's gorgeous, but from up here, it's not really the most attractive building I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
the money is not in the facade. Wherever the money is, hopefully it's on the facade. If it's in the facade, this is the crappiest
It
place
has
ever.
the nicest toilets you've ever
Yeah.
seen. The urinals are incredible. Yeah.
I've been trying to pin down, like, what am I supposed to think about this as it's been going so far, like, socially? Like, if I wanted to, like, be in solidarity with my social groups.
Sure.
Which is, I feel like anybody, half of my opinions just come from, like, what do the people like me think, and I'll go along with that. What would their opinion of this project be so far? And I feel like the answer is I don't even know. I don't know that my social groups have come to a consensus about this thing.
It's a weird thing because it's I feel like it's a bit of a burnout for a lot of folks in the city. Like I was really excited about the project as a whole, like because there was a lot of accessory development that went along with that.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
supposed to be a really nice looking building,
Yeah.
not something made of corrugated metal, petroleum jelly factory. But it's I don't know. It's that price tag keeps going up, or did keep going up. Maybe it's plateaued now. Now it's like COVID-19. Now the budget is, we've got an even budget.
Sure.
But it's I guess it's one of those things that the numbers are almost too. If you're really opposed to this project, the numbers are too big to really get wrapped up in. And if you're really excited about the project, well, you're existing in a universe where, unless you're a Texas Rangers fan, where they're packing 55,000 people into a stadium in the middle of a pandemic, like it might not be the most attractive time to be a sports fan, right? Like how many people are 12%? Is that what we can have?
12%. I think we're still at a level of 12% capacity. Yeah.
Yes, I mean that's not. I don't know. That's a really disappointing wave when that happens in the stands.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man.
And I don't even know at this point where you probably know more than I do. Like, where is all the accessory development that was going to be taking place, like across the street and whatnot? I mean, that was for me as like a resident. That was the hook, right? Like, if you bring in enough economic development, that's an accessory to the project. Then it all makes sense, I guess. Like, it's an investment that you're getting something out of. That's what's nice about investments. If they're good investments, like you get a return. I don't feel like we're hearing a whole heck of a lot about that now.
This is one thing I'm looking forward to in our post-COVID world, Brendan, is I'll be back wandering around the city, learning things by talking to people, and then I'll know stuff about the accessory developments. Whereas right now, total mystery to me, that kind of
So,
stuff.
what do you think how many games are going to be played before the railroad police are up here kicking people off the tracks with lawn chairs and like barbecues and whatnot?
They're probably going to build an electric fence or something over the next month. Who knows what's going to be here, a month from now.
They're going to use T-shirt cannons to get all the non-paying fans away. So like you actually get to go home with something nice,
Oh,
like a
man,
souvenir
I
T-shirt.
tell ya,
but you're probably
if
going to have a bruise as well.
They hope non-paying fans will be a problem, right? I mean, I don't know, man. I'm just thinking about like the beloved Worcester Tornadoes. No, am I thinking about the Bravehearts? Who's the current Worcester baseball team?
Bravehearts.
The Bravehearts. So the Tornadoes. I mean, I paid for the Tornadoes half the time that I saw Tornadoes games, which was more than one time.
To see Jose Canseco.
I don't know that I ever paid to see Jose. I don't
didn't
think
do
I didn't pay during that era.
That was the only time I went to any games.
No. But what?
Still have his phone number too. If anyone wants to give Jose Canseco a call, you know how to get in touch. I have his cell phone number.
By the way, any super fans, of course, can rewind and watch the episode where we give Jose Canseco the key to the city many years ago, about 10 years ago, I guess. Less than that, 7. Oh man, what were we even talking about? Oh,
Talking about that guy up there is got the best view of the game on top of the Davis building. Is that a guy or is that like a mannequin?
No, that's a good question.
Kind of
I
looks
think
like
there's a
Gordon-
dude in the corner.
Gordon's fisherman guy.
This
I
is
don't know
important.
if that's-
This is important. Yeah. Let me tell you, the way that the lens on this camera works, things that are far away are even harder to see than they are for you. I'm not kidding you. I was gonna say, like, to Tornadoes games, I paid for half the time that I went to a Tornadoes game.
Yeah.
I went to every game with the intention of paying.
Yeah.
But half the time I was given a ticket as I approached
Right.
the arena.
You just found out that tonight's like guy with glasses night or like
Or it
guy
would just-
wearing pants night.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I never knew what it was. That people would be standing around there giving people free tickets as
Yeah.
they approached the place. Because I don't know, there are a lot of people who would walk up to the front and then say, "No, I just decided at the last second." But I mean, I don't. Hopefully, this will not have that dynamic. I mean, the Paw Sox, I guess, are a bigger deal than the Tornadoes would
Yeah,
be.
and I do want to double back for a second too, because I don't want to just come off as negative about it. If this ends up being the most successful thing that Worcester's ever done, awesome, right? Like there was a time when I think it was Jordan Levy was maybe before Jordan Levy, but like the Centrum, like what's now the DCU Center, that
Right.
was a really contentious project. Like why
Sure.
would you build an arena? And you know, in hindsight, it was a good thing to put in for the city. Like it was a really big draw. There are other extenuating circumstances involving other area arenas that have been upgraded since that have probably taken a little bit of the shine off of it. But at the time, like
We can walk over away from traffic too if you want to.
yeah, or just from wind. Do we
From
know
the-
there's no wind?
There's inside.
Not allowed in there yet.
yeah.
They haven't got the memo about us being in a post-COVID world.
Yeah.
So I mean, if it ends up working, I mean, good on the city. Then like that, I will be the first one to applaud. I guess maybe I'm just not as in tune with professional sports these days that I'm just not that fully excited about it.
Yeah.
What are we excited about, Mike?
Well, I tell you, Brendan. I think I had one more insight about COVID-19
Oh, okay.
that I learned from COVID-19, which is that other people have a lot of effect on my behavior, especially the people close to me.
Oh, yeah?
That there's times when I'm walking around wearing a mask, and there's been times when I'm not walking around wearing a mask, and people will say, "Hey, do you really think you should be doing this precaution or that precaution?"
Mm-hmm.
And my answer is like, dude, do you not have friends and relatives? Like, do you not have other people in your life? Because part of my decision about whether I should wear a mask in some context is my risk calculation or whatever.
Right.
And part of my decision is what have I promised the people who I have decided to be in a little bubble with?
Yeah.
And likewise, part of their decisions are what they promised me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's been funny talking to people and not getting that impression that that's on a lot of people's radar so much.
That is, again, what I was mentioning earlier from a business perspective, why I've been slow to reopen the ice cream shop is, again, we still have a lot of our new social structure that is kind of packaged and built around the idea of who your bubble is and who you're interacting with. And I still feel like there's a large percentage of people that are in that mindset. Even though there are clearly lots of people that have decided, screw it, just going back to doing whatever the hell I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you this: even though more people are wearing a mask, or are not wearing a mask walking down the street than there were a month ago,
Yep.
there's still there's usually no foot traffic in this area, especially because the big draw is the library. But man,
And it's so windy.
no place that I go is there any foot traffic still though.
No.
Traffic,
Yeah.
there's less than there used to be, but foot traffic there's almost
That
none.
is going to be, I think, an interesting thing about downtown Worcester and any city, any reasonable sized city, right? Is a lot of the people who would normally be down here walking around, they're office workers, right? And they're not back in their offices yet. It's most folks that I know that work in offices don't know when they're going back to their offices, and I think that'll change the dynamic down here for quite some time.
Yeah.
There's certainly a bigger residential population than there had been down here from 145 Front and some of the other apartment buildings down here,
Yeah.
the Grid and what have you. But when it comes to the after work crowd or just the vibe that people are out and about, lunchtime, breakfast, whatever, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out long term.
I was bragging to Brendan that I love using this camera because I know how to deal with it in the wind, but man, not this wind. This wind
This
is
is
it's really going a bunch of different directions.
This is like a Wisconsin wind. It's a consistent 10 miles an hour. You can't really decide where it's coming from. It's just about annoying enough to drive you mad and have you go running out of the house in the middle of the night screaming never to be seen again. I learned that in Oklahoma has a similar thing. In the Oklahoma, the Muir Building Bombing Museum, they talk about the history of Oklahoma and the
grew up in Oklahoma. Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, I spent 11 years there growing
I had
up.
no idea.
I know
What'd
all
you think about the wind?
It comes whipping down the plains,
Yeah.
as they say in the song. The waving wheat can sure smell sweet when the wind comes right behind the rain. In commodities news, Brent crude oil is $62 a barrel, down 2% on the week, up 90% on the year. Bitcoin is $56,820, down 3% on the week, up 16% the last month since we did the last show, up 700% on the year. The Worcester Air Quality Index is 33, due mostly to small particles, and it's well within the good range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You waiting for me to add something?
I am waiting for you to add
I really
something.
don't have anything else to add, man.
Yeah.
How many Bitcoin millionaires do you know that came up this year?
Who became millionaires this year?
I don't want names. I just mean, like, do you know people in your universe that did really well this year with their otherwise seemingly weird investments?
Anybody who has a lot of money in cryptocurrency, I think had a good year so far.
Really good year. But
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more people like that in Worcester than we realize sometimes.
I think so. I mean, I'll say this. I mean, I don't know anybody who entered that space and got rich in the last year, but I mean, who wasn't previously doing well in that space. But see, what's his face, Rodney Harrigan. People aren't necessarily going to tell me, "Oh, I just won $10 million in the lottery," if they don't have to.
Rodney, whatever you do, now is not the time to push it all into Bitcoin. No matter what anyone is telling you, just hold on to some of that money. Give it some time.
What are we doing shows about coming up this year? We have so many people running for office.
Yep.
I feel like that's been the refrain in recent years. There was a time when didn't seem like there was always going to have to be preliminary elections, but the last few election cycles, a lot of people running every time.
Are we excited about anything in this year's race?
I mean,
Races?
I don't know. There's people who, as usual, there's people who I like and people who I don't know who are planning to run. I don't know that there's anybody on the ticket that I'm like, oh yeah, that person would really change the game.
Yeah, we need to start reaching out to people to like new challengers and whatnot for interviews as well. That's what I'm out of form on that one.
Yeah.
I think you're the first person I've talked to just on the side of the road in a year now. So I'm definitely going to need to exercise that muscle again when it comes to interviewing people.
I should have brought my Pulse magazine one to watch list with me. Unless you have your phone in your pocket and you can bring it up on your phone.
I left it in my coat.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh wait, you want to hold the thing?
Yeah.
I'll pull it up on my phone.
Blow it up on your phone.
Hi everybody.
There's a phone bag.
508 show.
You don't have your phone?
I have it somewhere. People wonder why I'm always the one with the cameras, because I'm not good at any other activities. You can use this maybe to block the wind a little bit.
I don't know what direction it's coming from.
Yeah, it really is a wild wind. This is going to be one of the legendary unlistenable episodes of the show. Like, many of them are unlistenable, but usually not for technical reasons.
It's by design. I don't think that's a real person up there, Mike. If anyone knows what's up with that has to be a mannequin. Yeah, that person hasn't moved in however long we've been here. Or are they moving? It is.
I think that might just be some kind of ventilation thing.
I think it just moved. No, it is. It's actually a person. I just saw them take binoculars down from their face. They're taking photographs up there.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, they're taking photographs of us because we're ones to watch.
There we are.
So here's our annual here's our annual pervasive surveillance episode where we talk about the Pulse Magazine's ones to watch list. The ones to watch are, oh jeez Louise. Sorry, I spoke too soon. Whoever makes the Pulse Magazine website. This is a very hostile website on my phone. Yeah, boy, guys, I cannot see your thing on my phone.
We'll just watch this thing.
Oh, yeah. Here it is.
There it is.
People to watch part 1. We have Danielle Brooks, who some people will know from Worcester Wares. We have the Seltzer Time Boys, who have been on this show. We have...
Hope you're putting those machetes to good use, guys.
Oh no, I cannot find the rest of the list. I had this piece of paper, I have this on paper in my house. Oh, this is a terrible. We're gonna have to start this show off from the beginning.
We're doing it all over again.
This is a huge mistake. People to watch part one.
Well, just read us something random from the Pulse magazine website. Yeah, that's totally a person. It's in a different area.
I don't know. This is gonna be kind of like our episode when we were looking at like relics of the Buddha.
We haven't
And
done this in a year.
We didn't
Mike.
say
That's-
anything for like a whole episode. We just basically like looked at some stuff quietly.
Will you just acknowledge with me, though, that this guy has moved to a completely different area?
Sure. I don't want to fight with you. I'll go along with that.
No, he's standing on the other side of the sign now. Like, now he's walking away. Totally a person.
Pulse Magazine, what's your deal? I don't know. I wish I could pause this recorder, but we really can't.
You got to pay for that information.
Even if I could just see, Vaughn Slawowski is on the list. JT Ethier is on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Manny Alvarado is on the list. Do you know Manny Alvarado? Do I know Manny Alvarado?
I believe so. Yeah, that sounds really familiar.
He hasn't been on the show, though. What happened to my embed? There's a link to click. What happened to my embed? Oh, wait, there it is. George Annan, who hasn't been on the show. Oh, come on. Toon Nguyen, who's been on this show twice,
Mm-hmm.
and who's running for City Council.
All right.
Gemma Kimura, who's been on the show once and who's running for, what do you think? School committee?
School committee.
High Command, John D. Novella, and two people who I can't see on this screen. Anyway, mostly we just cover this, I think, to see, like, are we still, is our finger on what you might call
The
the
pulse.
heartbeat of the city?
I hope you're going to say the pulse.
The
Come on.
pulse.
It was hanging right there for you,
And I
Mike.
think so. Yeah, what was that, like four people? That's better than we've done in a long time.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want this anymore.
Um,
Look, the guy's on the other side of the building. Clearly, that's a you.
There's a person up there. Oh, they left. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for being ones to watch this show. I'm good at those. I'm not good at the finding stuff on my phone, but I'm good at coming up with little catchy things.
Yeah.
Thanks for being ones to watch the 508 show. We'll be on next week, next month, next year, sometime soon.
Sometime.
We'll just be going around like French kissing our guests and whatever because there's no more COVID-19.
We're done.
Good work, everybody.
Congratulations.
And
Mark.
maybe we'll see you at a game here.
That needs to be our pitch. We should be offered
That'll be our pitch.
tickets to opening night so we can cover opening night from a 508 perspective.
Yeah.
So, Red Sox guys, I know you're watching. Guys and gals, I know you're out there listening. Mike and I want to go to a game.
This is 1,000% got to be one of these deals where we can get free tickets because they want it to be totally full, right?
Yeah.
Depending on
Totally
3
12%
weeks,
full.
3 weeks, 4 weeks, we get some tickets.
Yeah.
All right,
Let us know
guys.
somebody.
See you all at Polar Park.
If not, we'll just be up here on the tracks.